Okay, so let's start today's class. I'm Papia. My name is Papia Panda, and okay, let me first share my screen so that you can understand what is going on here. Can you see my screen? I hope yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So I'm just sharing my PPT with all of you. So this is the first page. Okay, so this is the very first class for the GATE session. Maybe there is a problem with admin and admit all the time. So from the next class I will do the auto admit so that it will come automatically. Just bear with me for this class. Yeah, fine, I think. Okay.
Good evening, ma'am.
Yeah, hello, good evening. Do you have any question or comment or something? No, na? Okay, fine. So today is the very first class for the GATE live session. Okay, so in that class what I will do, first of all I am Papia Panda and I am a PMRF NPTEL teaching assistant. So what I will do in this class, just a minute, I will just do some solution for the questions what has already came in the GATE last year or last to last year or something like that. Whatever it was there in the GATE exam, I was just going to solve this one. Okay, I will solve these things, and it will be like for this class it will be 1 hour class, and in this class 2 questions will be solvable, and in the next weekly classes, that means this is a weekly once class. So in the next week there will be another topic. This week it will be nuclear and particle physics topic as per you all can see in that PPT. So this week it will be nuclear and particle physics week, and we will solve all together with some 2 of the questions of GATE 2018. Okay, I have taken 2 random questions from 2018, and I will just go to solve these questions from the nuclear and particle physics topic. And from the rest of the week, like let's say from the next week maybe I will do the general aptitude and all. So it will be different in each and every week. So and this class will be for only 1 hour. So if you have any doubt or if you have any questions in between the solutions and whatever I am talking in between these things, also you have some doubt, you can immediately unmute yourself and you can ask me. As I am sharing the screen, so I could not see that who is raising his or her hand. So that will be a problem. So like if you will raise your hand and after that I will tell you that unmute yourself and tell these things, so it will not be possible. So you can unmute yourself and you can ask me at that time only that what is your problem in between this sentence or whatever. Okay, so up to this, is there any question till now? No, I think, right?
No, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So I will so today just let's start the class. So okay, yeah, so today we will talk about 2 questions, right? 2 questions of GATE 2018, and you can see from the first slide that it is I have taken the question from GATE 2018 nuclear and particle physics topic, and the question number is 14. Okay, so let's start for the 14th question. So this is the question number 14 for the GATE 2018 question. So let's start about the questions. I am just going to read the question at first, and we have to understand the question at the very first, and after that we will solve that one. So that what is the question? The question is the elementary particle cascade 0 is placed in the baryon decaplet shown below at this, and in that plot you can see that in x-axis third component of isospin is there and y-axis strangeness is there, and there are some marking like delta plus plus one particle is already mentioned in the very right corner, and other 4 points are mentioned here P, Q, R, S. So the four options is A, B, C, D, P, Q, R, S. So what is the meaning of this question? The meaning of the question is like in that decaplet, in the baryon decaplet, where is cascade 0 particle? Where should be it is? So this is the question, right? So we have 4 options. It's okay. Either it can be here, either it can be here, or it can be here, or it can be here. This is the question, right? So we have to answer the question. So for that we will do something at the very first. See, basically in the GATE, as you all know that GATE is a very competitive exam and there are so many questions and we have to finish these questions within a very specific time. So we should know some tricks for that, but before going to the trick, okay, yes, so before going to the trick I will tell you the physics behind these things, that how to calculate, I mean how to know that what will be the cascade 0 particle and where it should be. So this physics should be at the very first you should know, and after that I will tell the trick for that. Okay, so that it will, I mean both will be done simultaneously. Okay, so let's start. So I think all of you have a very simple idea about what is baryon and what is fermion, what is meson, and these things, what is bosons. These things has already a clear idea, I think, I hope so. So you people already know what is fermions, baryons and all, right? See, basically this is a interactive session. You can all ask anytime any questions, or you can give any type of comments, no problem. So I am just going to ask you questions also, right? So do you all of you have any idea about fermions, then bosons, all these things? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Yeah. So what is fermion, what is baryon, what is then mesons, what is bosons, then what is hyperons also. I think all of you knows these things. Okay. So basically what is baryon decaplet, that also I think you all know. So in that baryon decaplet, like it is, let's say I have having one I3. Okay. Okay, so in the x-axis there is I3 means the third component of isospin, and in y-axis I am plotting here S is nothing but strangeness. Strangeness is a quantum number, right? So let's say I have some example. We have quarks is like U, D and S. So among these 3 of quarks, only S has a strangest number -1 and all of these has strangest number 0. Okay, and what will be and what is I3 here? I3 is nothing but like let's say I have one okay, so how I3 is coming into picture? So in our particle physics, two particles are there, one is neutron and another one is proton, as you all know, right? So inside the nucleus itself it is there. So neutron and proton, they are behaving very much similar, but the main difference between neutron and proton is what? The charge. Neutron is neutral particle and proton is positive charge particle, but instead, I mean just despite of this difference, they are behaving exactly similar, like their masses are similar, they both are fermions, their spins are half, all the things are very similar for N and P. So previously it was thought that like N and P are same particles. Okay, previously it was thought that N and P are nothing but it is a same particle, but after that, when we are just knowing about I3, isospin component, from that point of view I can see that there is a difference between N and P. What is the difference between N and P in the concept of I3? So P has a value of I3 as positive half and n has a value of I3 as negative half. So I mean, in that point of view, we can see that okay, n and p are not exactly same particle, they are different particle, but they are behaving same, their masses are same, they are behaving same. That means we can have a family, we can have a family which is known as nucleon. In that nucleon family, two members are there, one is neutron and another one is proton, and these two has a family. I mean, in a family there are two members, one is neutron, one is proton, and this family has a single I value but different I3 value. Okay, so what will be the I value for that? I value will be half. So I value will be half for this n and p family, but I3 will be different. I3 will be half for p and minus half for n. Okay, fine. So very similarly, when we will generalize these things, this is only for two particles, but after that we have discovered so many particles which have very similar masses, but they are different in their electric charges. So we can also quantify these things as a family. Okay, just like here you can see that from this plot there is one delta plus plus is there. So there are four members in this family delta. So what are they? Delta minus, delta 0, delta plus and delta plus plus. So these are the four members of our delta family. So what is the property of that family? As per I told, all the members will have same I, but the I3 will be different for each and every particle. So what will be the I value for that? I value is I3 by 2, and what will be the I3 value for each and every one? I3 value is nothing but it is going from minus I to plus I in steps of 1. In step of 1. So if I write here delta minus, delta 0, delta plus, delta plus plus, these four particles are there in a single family which is known as delta family. Okay, so in that family I value is 3 by 2. So what will be the value for I3? So I3 can have minus 3 by 2 to 3 by 2. I can have the value minus 3 by 2 to plus 3 by 2 in the steps of 1. That means what? Minus 3 by 2, minus 1 by 2, 1 by 2 and 3 by 2. There will be no other choice for I3. So you can see that there are four different choices for four particles. Then what will be the value for each particle? Delta minus have the value of I3 as minus 3 by 2, delta 0 has minus half, delta plus has plus half, delta plus plus has 3 by 2. Okay, so these are the I3 concept. So similarly, whatever it was asking in our question, that is cascade 0. So in that cascade family, how many members are there? In that cascade family, two members are there. One is cascade minus, another one is cascade 0. So you can see that if two members are there, then what will be the value of I? I will be half. So what will be the value of I3 for that? I3 will be, one is minus half and another one is plus half. So which one will be the minus half and which one will be plus half? See here, minus, cascade minus will be I3 as minus half and cascade 0 will be I3 as plus half. I have just taken two examples for these things. So one is cascade family and another one is delta family. Now you can just put here, we have in that question they are asking about delta plus plus, they have already mentioned. Then what about other particles? Delta plus, delta 0, delta minus, where they goes? So delta plus will be here, delta 0 will be there, delta minus will be there. Okay, so how we are writing these things? This is corresponding to 3 by 2. This is this is corresponding to 1 by 2. This is corresponding to minus 1 by 2 and that one is minus 3 by 2. Now you can see that this is I3, right? In that x-axis I3 we are plotting. In that x-axis this point is nothing but 3 by 2, and I have already told that 3 by 2 means delta plus plus. Then what is about half? Half means delta plus. Minus half, delta 0. Minus 3 by 2, delta minus. So like that we can write these things. Now what about strangeness? How can I write strangeness for these particles? Okay, so for that we need to know about the quark content of that particle. So for that delta plus plus has a quark content is U. Okay, so here you can see that among these U no one is S. So for strangeness per number of the delta 0 it is 0, because U is there, right? Now coming to this part, this point. Okay, so you can see that there are basically 4 points. Okay. So you can see here in that strangeness number, I just want to write this in a fresh page. So I3 has already we have mentioned as 3 by 2 half, minus 3 by 2, minus 3 by 2. Now there is something like that, and this is delta plus plus, this is delta minus, this is delta 0, and all these things. And here strangeness is there. So what will be the strangeness for this line? This is 0. Why 0? Because you can see that their delta plus plus has U. Okay. Now coming to this point. This point means, okay, this point, yeah. So this point means here is something as Q. Now in that point P and R is there, and here is something is known as S. So from that I3 configuration, as I already told that in cascade family only 2 members are there, right? 2 members are there, that means I3 will be 2. That means obviously it will not follow in this region, because in this region 3 members should be there in that family. Whatever it will be in that family, 3 members should be there, because there are 3 nodes. But in that case there is 2 members. So obviously cascade 0 will fall in between P or R, but we don't know in which place it is. But in between P and R, among these 2 places, someone delta 0 will be stayed. So where delta 0 will stay? So here from this from this graph we can conclude that P and Q, in between P and Q, cascade 0 will be somewhere, because cascade 0 has the cascade 0 is a family member of 2 member family. Okay, so that's why here one and another one. Now I have already told you that what will be the value of I3 for cascade 0, as it is already mentioned here. You can see that cascade 0 has a I3 value plus half, cascade minus has a I3 value minus half. So if I put here, this point was plus half, this point was minus half. So you can see that at this point, this was Q or what? This was R. Sorry, this point was R. So at this point I3 is half, and it is in between the 2 member family state, and at this point I3 is minus half. So cascade minus will be here and cascade 0 will be here, because for cascade 0 I3 is plus half and cascade minus I3 is minus half, and it is a 2 family member state. So that's why the R point will be the correct one. So we can see from this plot, only by considering I3 we can have the result. By considering the I3 value, we can have the result that R will be the correct answer. In R, cascade 0 will be placing. Okay. So that means our correct answer will be C. So this is one method to know where is our particle in that baryon decaplet. But another method is also there, which is coming from the S state.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, sure.
So on this assignment of isospin, is there a convention?
Is
So
there-
can we assign isospin of 1 by 2 to cascade minus?
Oh, okay, yes, good question. So for that you just need to know this expression. This is a very simple expression. So I have told you this is the, yeah, have you seen this expression, Gelman equation, right?
Yes.
Yes. So Q equals to I3 plus Y by 2, right? So now I have told you cascade family. In that cascade family, cascade 0 and cascade minus is there. Now you can ask me that why we are putting I3 is plus half for cascade 0 and minus half for cascade minus. I can put any other value for that also, right? So for that, I mean, I can just interchange this value also. That can be also possible. But for that equation, I can use this expression. In that expression, you can see that cascade 0 means it is a neutral particle, and minus means this is the negative charge particle. So the whatever the charge is there of that particle, we are just assigning this in that corner. Okay. So for that, let's say I am just calculating about cascade 0. So for that cascade 0, what will be the value of charge? I mean Q value, it is 0. Then I am writing, let's say for now I am writing Q equals to plus half, let's say. Okay. Now coming to the Y by 2 value, then what will be the value of Y by 2 here? It will be minus half and Y will be minus 1. Fine. Now again I am writing the same value for cascade minus, same expression. So minus means minus 1, and let's say I am writing here minus Y by minus half and Y by 2. Then what will be the value of Y for that? Minus 1 plus 1 by 2, that is minus half, that is, oh sorry, yeah, that is minus 1, right? So as I told you that in that cascade family, I will be same, right? I will be half for each and every particle. Similarly, Y should be same for each and every particle. So only for that combination you can see that cascade 0 has Y equals to minus 1 as well as cascade minus has Y equals to minus 1. But let's say I am just going to interchange that one, like see, cascade 0 is minus half and cascade minus is plus half. So what will be the Y value for that? Okay, let's calculate that one also. I am just mentioning here cascade 0 as minus half I3, then 0 minus I3 plus Y by 2. Then what will be the value for Y? Y will be plus 1. Now coming to cascade minus. So for cascade minus, it is minus 1 equals to plus half plus Y by 2. Then Y by 2 will be minus 1 minus half, then minus 3 by 2. Then you can see that Y value is coming out as minus 3. So cascade minus 3, Y is minus 3. Okay. And for cascade 0, Y is coming as 1, which should not be true, because for one family Y should be same for all the members. Okay. So from that expression we can conclude that cascade 0 should have I3 will be plus half, and for cascade minus I3 will be minus half. So whoever asked the question, is it clear to him?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So that means there are two conclusions. So in one family, all the family members should have the I value same, and all the family members should have Y value same. So these two conditions should be satisfied. So according to these, and also according to the simple formula Q equals to I3 plus Y by 2, we can have the value of I3, which is exactly applicable for each and every particle. So this is one method to know what will be the value for, I mean what will be the place for this one cascade 0. Now there is another one method is also there. This is coming from the strangeness. As per I told you, it is only within the concept of I3, right? But we can also find the position of cascade 0 in the context of S, I mean the strangeness number. So how can I do that? For that I have to remember some of the particles strangeness quark content. Like let's say for cascade 0, let's say I don't know what is the quark content of cascade 0. Obviously I can't remember all the particles quantum content, quark content, but I can remember some of the quark content of these particles. Okay, like let's say I have one particle which is omega minus. Omega minus is a very famous particle which is the latest discovered particle in the baryon decaplet. So in that baryon decaplet, omega minus was discovered, but before that it was already mentioned in that table. So for omega minus I have a quark content as S. So from that figure you can see that S has a value. What will be the value for S of omega minus? Omega minus has a value of strangeness as -3, because each and every one has -1 strangeness number. Okay, so strangeness number for omega minus is -3. Now it's fine. Now you can see that, and also you can know that omega minus is only one member in this its family. Then can you tell me, okay, I'm just going to remove this thing so that it will be good to see. So yeah, so omega minus is the only one member in its family. Then can you tell me in which position it should be? S. Good. So in S it is there, right? So omega minus is in S position, and you can see that I have already calculated that S has -3 S value, strangeness number. So that means it is
omega minus.
Yes. So strangeness value is -3 for omega minus. Then I can write here, as in that question there is nothing about the value of strangeness. You can see that here only the strangeness, the word of strangeness it is giving, but it has not shown any type of values of what is the value of this point, what is the value corresponding to this point. We don't know these things, but we can know from the quark content of omega minus. From quark content of omega minus has a quark content as S. So from that we can conclude that okay, strangeness is -3 and this point will be -3, should be -3, because here S is sitting. Now coming to this point, in that point obviously it will be -2, because our strangeness is coming in steps of 1. Then it is -1 and it is 0. Now you can see that delta plus plus, for the delta plus plus I have read that I have written the quark content U. In that U there is no S. That means our strangeness for delta plus plus is 0. Obviously it is there, right? Because it is 0. Now it is -1. Now it is -2. Now coming to this point. So now we can have an idea that whatever we are asking for this particle, this should have a strangeness number -2. Otherwise it will not place in that position. Now if you remember the cascade minus quark content, I have written here. Yes. See here, cascade minus has a strangeness number -2. Then you can find that okay, cascade number is strangeness number is -2, means in this point it should be, and in this point means obviously either this one or this one. So according to I3 I can find that R1 is the correct position. It's a little bit very big procedure, but you can also find the value position of cascade 0 from the concept of strangeness also. But it is very much better to consider only the isospin, because we all know that cascade has a family of 2 members, and from that we can conclude that cascade minus and cascade 0 are there. Just putting the value of Q equals to I3 plus Y by 2, we can confirm that cascade minus has -1/2 or cascade 0 has +1/2 I3 value. So according to these rules I can find that okay, R is the exact position for cascade 0. Is there any doubt on that?
Ma'am, can we even without knowing the quark contents, we can also calculate the strangeness of a particle by Gelman-Nissenson formula?
Yes. Okay. Gelman is. I mean, you want to know the value of strangeness, right?
Yes, even without knowing the word contents.
Okay. If you know the quark content, then you can easily know the strangeness number. You don't need to put q equals to I3 plus y by 2. See, because let's say I have omega minus and I know the quark content of omega minus, it is SSS. So by seeing that SSS, you can immediately tell that what will be the strangeness number, right? Because there is each and every one has S and each and every one has -1 strangeness number. That means -3 will be the strangeness number for omega minus. You should not go for that q equals to I3 plus y by 2 expression. But if you don't know the quark content, then you can use this expression also. For actually this is the very simplified expression, but inside of this also it is b plus s. Okay, like if I write here correctly, then the expression will be q equals to I3 plus b plus s by 2. Now from that you can see that I know b is what? B is baryon number. So we are talking about baryon decuplet. So obviously for each and every particle they are baryon itself. So for each and every particle baryon will be +1. And I3 we know and q also we know. So from that expression we can know the s value. Okay.
Ma'am, what is the significance of isospin and third component of isospin?
Okay. So isospin, I have just a minute please. I am just going to turn on the okay. Yeah, so what is the significance between I and I3 and what is the difference between this? So I has a significance that, as I told you, that N and P, as an example I can take N and P. Just a minute, sorry. So in that N and P are very similar in nature, but they have a only difference in between their charges. But either I mean apart from their charges, all the physical properties are very similar. They have spin half, they have their fermions, their masses are very similar. So we need something to differentiate between N and P. Very similarly, delta minus, delta 0, delta plus plus, among these 4 particles, these 4 has a very similar mass. So we need to differentiate between these particles in some specific nuclear quantum number charges. So this is nothing but isospin. With that isospin I can check, okay, sorry, this is I3. So in that by knowing the I3 value for each and every particle, I can differentiate these particles by their I3 value. So this is the significance for I3, right? Now coming to the significance of I. What will be the significance of I? Let's say in that decuplet itself there was delta plus plus and all the things were there, and here you can see that there is cascade 0, cascade minus was there. Okay, just a minute. So you can see that there was cascade 0, cascade minus, and there was delta and delta, all these things were there. So but you can also see that the mass value of delta minus and delta 0 are very similar, but it is obviously different from these particles. These mass has a different value, these particles has a very different mass, but among these two these mass are very similar. Among these two the mass are very similar. So to differentiate between this particle and this particle group, we can assign one I value. For this family I value is different, for this value I value is different. So by seeing the I value we can differentiate that okay, cascade 0 and delta plus are the different in their family. Okay. So this is the difference between the family. Like we are just going to differentiate between family members. For that we are using I, and for I3 why we are using I3 to differentiate the family members inside the family. That is the thing. Okay. So I think all of you have understood this question. So should I move to the next question, or do you have any question? You can ask me right now. Okay.
Ma'am, so y is just a combination of baryon number and strangeness number, right?
Sorry, sir. Yes. Can you please repeat again?
Yeah, so y, no, I'm just clearing my doubt. Like y is just a combination of baryon number and strangeness number, right?
Okay. So this is not a. I mean, you are talking about this plot, right?
No, the general equation we have y by 2, right?
Yes, this one.
So yeah, so it is just b plus s by 2. That is a general.
I mean for y value.
Yeah.
Okay.
So y is that thing. Right?
Oh, okay. So hypercharge is b plus s, right? So how it is coming? Like obviously hypercharge okay. Yeah, so for that question, actually if I write the exact formula for this, there will be so many terms also, but in that decaplet we are just considering 3 quarks, u, d and s. I think you have all knows about these things, but also apart from u, d and s, there are some other quarks also, right? Like what is that? Top, charm, bottom and all these things are there. So if I just consider only u, d and s, then we are writing y equals to b plus s. But let's say I have a t, c and b are also present in our particle, then our y will also be changes accordingly. Like I can't remember exactly, but it is like b plus s, then b minus c prime, c minus plus t divided by 2, something like that. So what is these things? C is charm quantum number, T is top quantum number, and like that. Okay, and B is baryon, B is here bottom quantum number. It is not baryon. So why we are writing in a very simple way that y equals to b plus s? Because hypercharge, y is hypercharge, right? Hypercharge means from that hypercharge we can know that okay, this family has a specific hypercharge. So to know these things, we just need 2 combinations, only 2 values we need to know. One is baryon number, that is it baryon or meson. If it is meson, then the baryon number will be 0 for that, and if it is baryon, then baryon number will be 1, and if it is an antibaryon, then baryon number will be -1. So and also we need to know one more thing, which is strangeness number. So only these 2 numbers are helpful to know what will be the value of y in that family. Okay, so in that family what will be the value of y, so that I can say that our family has a specific y value. So 2 things we need to know, one is baryon number and another one is strangeness number. So that's why it is a very simple expression. Okay, I think something is there in chat box. No, okay, some sound has come. Okay, so to know the family members y value, we just need to know some properties of that family members. One is baryon number and another one is strangeness number. So that's why in a very simple way y can be written as b plus s. Okay, but if you want to know the very deep of that, like if in our particle T, C and B are also included, then we can have a very complicated expression, whatever I have written here. I think it is not exactly correct, but I forget the exact notation. But in most of the cases you can see that y can be defined only with the 2 quantum numbers. One is baryon number and another one is strangeness number. So that's why the linear combination of baryon number and strangeness number can give you another quantum charge, which is hypercharge. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So coming to the next question. Yes. Yeah. Sorry. Tell me. Sorry. Tell me.
मैम मैं कह रहा था कि जैसे किसी सबएटॉमिक पार्टिकल का जो स्पिन है कैसे हम डिफाइन करते हैं या कैसे हम उसको फाइंड आउट कर सकते हैं कि सबएटॉमिक पार्टिकल की स्पिन?
I can't hear you properly. Can anyone repeat the question? What he is asking?
मैं ये पूछ रहा हूँ कि जैसे किसी कोई सबएटॉमिक पार्टिकल है तो उसका हम स्पिन कैसे डिफाइन करते हैं, कैसे डिसाइड करते हैं कि इसका स्पिन ये है, इसका स्पिन ये है?
इसका स्पिन
नॉट
मतलब
आइसो स्पिन में,
आइसो स्पिन
यस
मतलब स्पिन चाहिए या
नो नो spin, how we can spin, I'm only spin.
okay, only spin. Okay, that is a very simple thing. See, if I have fermion,
Yes.
the spin will be half. Okay, I have meson, the spin will be positive integer. Positive integer means it will be +1 +2 something like that, and also 0 can also be there. And if it is yeah, in that meson, I mean like fermions and bosons, sorry, not mesons, bosons. So for bosons the spin will be 0 +1 +2, and for fermions it can be have a spin of plus half, like it should not be half, it is like integers multiplication of half. That means it can be half, it can be 3/2, it can be 5/2, something like that. So depending upon the which type of the particle it is it a fermion type particle, is it a boson type particle? If it is a fermion type particle, then the spin will be half, and if it is a boson type particle, then the spin will be positive integer, let's say +1. For photon you can see that photon is also a boson. For that photon the spin is 0, but for graviton the spin is +2, but all other bosons are spin as +1. So depending upon the particle's nature, is it fermion or boson, we can have the spin number for that. Okay, but whatever it is written in that question, you can see that, yes, in that question whatever it is there, that means delta ++, cascade 0, all the particles are fermions. So obviously their spins will be +half.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now coming to the
Ma'am?
yes.
Now, why neutron or protons are omitted in the baryon decaplet?
Oh yeah, good question. So yes, I think I don't have page. Okay, I can write here. So here you can see that there is I3 and S was there, and there was something like baryon decaplet is there, and in the decaplet you can see that there are 10 nodes, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. As a whole 10 nodes are there. That means in each and every node one particle should be there. So as a whole there are 10 particles. So 10 particles means, that's why it is written as decaplet, right? Now there is another thing which is known as baryon octet. So what is this one? In baryon octet I have 8 particles in a group. So this as a whole 10 particle can make a group. This as a whole 8 particle can make a group. So what is these things? Here you can see that 1 2 3 4 5 6 particles are each and every corner, and here in that middle of this there are 2 particles. That means as a whole there are 8 particles. So in that baryon octet I have N and P. Where should be N and P? N should be here and P should be here. So in that baryon octet I can plot N and P, but in that baryon decaplet I can't have N and P because it's a group and it's a bunch of 10 particles, and this is a bunch of 8 particle. So in that 8 particle bunch, baryon octet 8 particle bunch, we have neutron and proton, but in that decaplet I have just plotted another 10 baryons. Okay,
And
so
are they differentiated on the basis of their spin? I think in the baryon
no.
octet all the particles have spin 1/2.
no, yes, no, I mean not spin exactly, it is isospin. In between isospin they are different. Like here you can see that P has a isospin plus or minus up, and it is 1 up to 1 we have just plotted here, but here you can see that as per you remember it is 3/2. So to grouping 10 particles in a one plot I have just plotted -3/2 to +3/2 for I3. Similarly for baryon octet what I have done from -1 to +1, and it is a 8 particle group. So in that 8 particle group N and P are there. Okay.
Ma'am?
So baryons consist of 3 parts. So the spin can either be 1 by 2 or 3 by 2.
Spin.
Yes.
For each and every one, spin is half because they are fermion particle. Okay, so for each and every one, spin is half, but isospin is different for different particles.
No, for valence spin can also be 3 by 2. So if we are considering
No, like
equals, then
no, like delta
so spins can be also 3 by 2.
for delta you are talking about spin is 3 by 2. No, delta is half, I think.
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, in the two charts, I mean Birion decouplate and Birion octagma and Xi. So
Sorry,
they have
sorry, I can't hear you. Sorry.
in the two particles are common. I mean sigma and the Xi,
Yes.
right? So are those two sigmas same?
Yes, they are same because they can fall in that line also. I mean from minus 3 by 2 to 3 by 2, and here whatever the s value is there and whatever s value is there and whatever I3 value is there, these particles, like as you told that sigma 0, right? So these particles are same and these are exactly same, but they have just grouped in some another way. In that baryon or decaplet they have mentioned like that, and in that baryon octet they can also put. So that's why we can put these things in that group. But it is not like that this decaplet sigma is different and this octet is sigma is different. They are same. But I have just put it, I just put this as a group, and in that group sigma is fitted there. So that's why I have written there. So similarly for baryon octet, sigma is put it there. So that's why I have written sigma is there. So they are same particles. Okay, so sorry, I have to interpret to you people that I have to go to the next question because
Ma'am,
time is up.
but
Yes.
those two particles are different. I mean the two octets are for one is for higher energy particles. I mean this is not same, right? I mean one of the spins is 3 by 2 and the other is half. I mean there is star sign above those two things. I mean those are excited.
I mean, is there any
state,
star
right?
sign? Is there any star sign? If it is a star sign, then it is like that resonance particle.
Okay, ma'am.
So if it is a star sign, that means it is a resonant particle, and if it is a star sign, then it is not a same particle. I mean sigma, let's say sigma 0 star and sigma 0. So sigma 0 star and sigma 0 is not a same particle. So like it is a resonance particle and this is a simple ground state particle. So
Ma'am,
yes.
can the normal particles be placed in decaplet?
Decaplet, no, like these are for the resonant particles, yes, and these
Yes,
are for
ma'am, but then why
the,
are the two same thing? I mean
yeah,
those two sigmas and
no, like
Xi.
if there is star, then it is a different particle, okay, and if it is not star, then it is like a stable particle, and if it is a star, that means it is a resonant particle, and resonant particle is nothing but which is coming in between the intermediate state of the nuclear reaction. Okay, so these are a little bit different from this one. So
Okay, ma'am, but the
Yeah.
resonant particle and the normal particle, does they both have the same spin or they have the different spin? I mean normal Xi or resonant Xi, do they have the same spin or
same
they have
spin, they should have same spin, but I am not exactly sure that, as you people are telling that delta is 3 by 2. I will tell you in the next class that what will be the value of spin for delta particle. Okay, I will tell you, sorry. Like as far I know that this is obviously half spin, because you can see that here N and P are there. So as a whole, whatever the particles will be there inside of the baryon octet, it will be half. I mean the spin will be half. But for this case, you people are talking about that spin is 3 by 2. But yeah, I have to see that one. Sorry. Okay, but yeah, like sigma 0 star and sigma 0, these two are not same, that I can tell you, because it is a resonant particle and this is a stable particle, and this sigma 0 star has it is produced in between the intermediate nuclear state, and this is as coming as a output. So that is a stable particle and this is a resonant particle. Okay, so I will see that one. Okay. Okay, so now coming to the next question. I think I have already coming around running out of time. Okay, so in that next question, the next question is taken from the question number 18 of GATE 2018 nuclear and particle physics question paper. So you can see that the question is in the decay. Mu plus is going to E plus nu E and X. What is X? It's a very simple question. I think you all can know the answer for that. Like I have here one expression, one mu plus, and it is coming E plus nu E plus X. Then what will be the value for X? So for that I just want to tell you some little bit overview of that. So in that overview I can have one plot, I can have a table for that. So you can see that in that table I have just mentioned here something. What is this? Like here strangeness S should be conjuged in strong, may or may not conjuged in EM, and it is not conjuged in weak. But yeah, see, for this question we don't need to consider all of the quantum charges, we just only need to consider some of them, but I have just mentioned these things as a whole. Okay, so here you can see I have written here in that I have written here in a bold letter that baryon number, lepton number and electric charge, these three should be conserved in all nuclear reactions. Okay, so that means our charge should be conserved, our lepton number should be conserved and our baryon number should be conserved, and this lepton number should be conserved separately. Like okay, I will tell you what is meaning of that separately. So now coming to the expression. So as I told you that baryon number, lepton number and charge, these three should be conserved. So at the very first I am just going to calculate the charge for this expression decay. So what is the decay here? The decay is where is this? The decay is mu plus is going to E plus nu E plus X. So from that charge conservation you can see that what will be the charge of X. This is plus 1, this is plus 1, this is 0. So what should be here? 0. Okay, so the X the Q value for X should be 0 here. Okay, now coming to the baryon number. Mu1 is a baryon or not? No. E plus is also a non-baryonic particle. Nu is also non-baryonic. Then what will be the X value? Obviously it should be 0, because that means if the value of baryon for that X should be 0. Now coming to the L means I am just talking about whole lepton number. Whole lepton number means, like let's say mu1 is a lepton, that means it okay, now it is mu plus means it should have a lepton number minus 1, because mu minus has a lepton number plus 1. Now coming to the E plus is also a lepton, but it is an anti-lepton, that means it has a minus 1. Now what about mu E? Mu E has plus 1. Now what should be the value of X here?
minus
1, because plus 1 minus 1 0 and minus 1 is cancel out. So that means our L should be, the lepton number of that X should be something which is anti-lepton. Okay, now coming, yes, something will be there, but it should be like that, in bar will be there as an anti-lepton.
Ma'am?
Yes.
Ma'am, can you equate lepton number or the lepton number or the lepton number?
Yes, I will tell this one also right now. Yes, yeah, you have told correctly. Now I will let you know what is Le, Lmu and L tau. These three should be conserved separately and individually. What is the meaning of this? Like Le should be conserved in both sides. So what is the value of Le for mu? It is 0, because Le means the electron lepton number. So for mu1 electron lepton number is 0. So what will be the for E plus? E plus will be minus 1, because Le is minus 1 for positron. If it is an electron, then Le will be plus 1. Now coming to the mu E value. So what will be the mu E for that Le? Le will be what?
Electron lepton.
1, right? Like LE, I am just talking, okay, let me write it is I am just talking about LE, nu E plus X. So here what will be the LE for that? This is 0. What is this one?
minus 1
Minus 1. This is
plus 1.
plus 1. So what should be here?
Minus 1 plus 1 0.
0, right? So LE should be 0 here. So that means you can see that our X is not a electron lepton. It will not be a electron lepton. So in that electron lepton, how many members are there? Electron is there, positron is there, nu E is there, nu E bar is there. These 4 are there in electron lepton family. So among these 4, no one will be there for X. Now coming to the L mu case. In that L mu case, what will be the value for L mu plus?
Minus 1.
Minus 1. E plus?
0.
0. Nu E?
0.
0. So what will be the X value?
Minus 1.
Minus 1. So okay, now coming to the L tau, you can simply tell the L tau value. L tau will be obviously 0 for all of these things because it is not tau, right? So now you can see that non-zero value for which case? Non-zero value for L mu case. That means our X obviously will be among these 4 particles, mu plus, mu minus, nu mu, nu mu bar. Among these 4 particles, X will be 1. But which one will be X? So coming to the other 2 properties, you can see that charge will be 0 and L should be like something anti-lepton. Now you can see easily that L should be, charge should be 0. Charge should be 0 means among these 4, which one will cut out? This
plus and mu minus.
This one will cut out because for that case plus 1 is charge, minus 1 is charge. So these 2 cannot be possible. Now coming to these 2. These 2 can be possible because these 2 neutrinos are chargeless. Now coming to the lepton number. From that lepton number, I have told you it can be something as a bar because it will be an antiparticle. So which one is antiparticle? This one, nu mu bar, right? So as a whole, we can conclude that our answer of that question will be nu mu bar, which is D. So like only, in that table, whatever I have mentioned here, we don't need to go inside of this table. We just want to go for this bold sentence that baryon number, lepton number and electric charge should be conserved in all nuclear reactions. So by seeing these things, baryon number, lepton number and charge, we can quickly tell that what will be the value of X here. So I hope you all understand these things, and I have just mentioned here some of the particles and their charge and IP value and S value. So these things are there. Okay. So and also I have just mentioned here some of the charge and S values. For the quark particle I have mentioned here little bit, but as a whole for these 2 questions I can conclude that the second question has a answer as nu mu bar and the first question was R position for cascade 0. Okay, so I will tell that I will just see about these 2 decaplet and octet and I will tell you in the next class what will be the spin value for these 2 particles. But rest of these questions, do you have any other question on these 2? Like on the second question, I think it's a very simple question. You don't have to do something more. So if you have any question on that, you can ask me, or otherwise I think we can stop today's class and we will meet in the next class. Yeah.
Why do we need to define hypercharge?
Why don't we?
Why do we need to define hypercharge, or what is the physical significance of hypercharge?
Yeah, physical significance means, as I told you, like Y is B plus S, right? Like as a layman language, I can say that Y is B plus S. So B plus S means baryon number and Strange's number, how they are connected in that family member. And Y should be conserved means our B and S number in such a way so that our family member has same Y value for each and every one. So it is nothing but, like you can see that we are conserving B plus S value with the help of hypercharge. Okay, so in each and every family y value should be same. So by that term, and also it is different in two family, like delta plus has different y value, sigma has different y value. So in these two families, to differentiate these two family, we can have either I value or y value. Okay, oh my battery is going down. So this is the significance, like with the help of y value I can differentiate which one is from which family. Okay, and b plus s means the combination of b plus s should be conjugate for each and every family. We can also tell like that.
A comment to that question on a spin of decaplet and octet. So I was just checking Griffith's book. In page number 109, it has been clearly mentioned that spin 3/2 variants have been grouped in variant decaplet and spin 1/2 variants.
Okay. Thank you so much. Yeah, like that means like in decaplet the 3/2 will be there for I value, and for octet the I value will be half. Right? Sorry, S value.
Spin, not ISIS.
Okay, so S value will be half and S value will be 3/2 for these two. Okay, thank you so much. Like I did not aware about these things. So yeah, so whoever asked the question, that is already solved. Okay, so whoever asked this question that how we can differentiate between decaplet and octet, the decaplet and octet differentiation is like with the help of spin value. It is 3/2 for decaplet, and it will be half for octet. Thank you so much whoever asked answered the question. So in between these things it is different. So you can also conclude from these things that whatever there was, that xi and sigma was also there, as you all told. So for these things, like for that decaplet it will be star, and this particle is different from this particle, whatever it is in that octet. So these two will be different because the spins are totally different, and this particle's nature will be totally different. Okay, I think someone is also PQY means
previous year question.
oh yeah, okay. Okay, yes, I am just doing the 2018 question only. Like whatever it is, like it will be different in different week, but right now it is like only 2018 question, and I have just written here 2018 question number 14 and question number 18.
No ma'am, at that time when you cracked GATE, so what was your strategy? I was asking, did you only do previous year questions or?
Oh, okay. I did not get the question. Okay, yes.
Okay.
Just a minute. Yeah. So for that, when I was just cracked the GATE, so at that time I just did previous year question as well as the basics of that chapters. Like for nuclear and particle physics, I just read first of all I prefer S.N. Ghosal basically. So I preferred S.N. Ghosal, and I just read that S.N. Ghosal book. I think all of you have heard about S.N. Ghosal book. So I have just read that one, S.N. Ghosal for nuclear and particle physics, and you can see that in nuclear and particle physics very simple questions are coming in GATE. Like it is at most 10 number questions are coming from each and from this topic itself. So like you can see that if you just read the basic of this, whatever it is written in S.N. Ghosal, that will be enough for that nuclear and particle physics topic itself, at least. Okay. Yes.
Ma'am, will you only cover nuclear physics or will you take other subjects as well?
Yeah, so like for each and every week it will be different. Like only nuclear and particle physics will be this week, and this week I have just only I have just only solved 2 questions. So similarly in each and every week 2 questions will be solved, and it will be in different topic. I think in next class it will be aptitude maybe I have to see, but it will be different from nuclear and particle physics. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
So it will be different in different week, and I think as a whole there will be 6 classes for 6 weeks. Yes, 6 classes, and I mean for 6 week it will be 6 different topics, and after that we will finish the course. You can also see other NPTEL TAs are there, so they are doing the different topics in different weeks. So you can also join with them also, so that you can have a broad idea and broad topics for that. Okay. So for now I can stop. Bye bye each and everyone. Stop sharing.
Can you share slide?
Sorry.
Slide. Can you see slide?
Okay, the slides will be available in Gate portal maybe. Can you send us the slide? Yeah, so the slide will be available in Gate portal. So like I am not the authority for that slide and all slide. I mean to have the slides in the Gate portal, but the NPTEL coordinator will share these slides with you people in the Gate portal itself. Okay. Okay, bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.